Normally, when a power supply manufacturer announces that they are launching a case, I roll my eyes and think about yet another pointless metal box that will solve or add nothing unique or even interesting to the market. However, when Seasonic announces their new cases, well, things went a little bit different. The SYNCRO Q7 is the first ever chassis designed and manufactured by Seasonic, and it has a lot going for it. In fact, this case is one of the best on the market, and for a first ever product, well, let's just say that it took everyone by surprise. First, we need to talk about the price and the availability. As far as I know, the SYNCRO Q7 is only available as a standalone product in the United States. What does this mean for the rest of the world? It means that you will buy the SYNCRO Q7 but will also get a Seasonic power supply included as well. This means that you will pay a lot more because you are in essence buying a case and a power supply as a bundle. The unit featured in this review is the SYNCRO Q704 and has included a Seasonic Connect 750 watts gold certified power supply and the Connect module. This is why the SYNCRO Q704 can be had for no less than $460 or 407 euros, and that's a lot for a case. But that's the price you pay for this case and a gold rated power supply. Of course, the price will vary based on what power supply you get as a bundle. There are multiple choices with 2 different efficiency certifications and multiple wattage ratings. The design of the SYNCRO Q7 series is outstanding, if we can call it that, and it's an example of what weird but charming is all about. This case is not the usual metal box either. First, it's made from solid metal, and I got a lot of flack in my previous case review when I complained that an expensive case has a lot of plastic on it. Well, this one does not have such things. Of course, there is some plastic involved, but not to the extent to what other manufacturers are doing. The front of the SYNCRO Q7 has an angular design that is in essence a metal plate that extends over the front dust filter and main intake area. This is probably the best way to get a good airflow and have a somehow closed off front panel. Behind this front panel is one of the features that will put this case on the map. No less than 3 120mm Nidec servo fans pre-installed. Yes, the same company called Nidec that gave us the Gentle Typhoon fan that we still remember today. These fans are known to deliver an outstanding performance both in terms of static pressure and airflow, and the SYNCRO Q7 has 4 of them pre-installed, 3 at the front and 1 at the back, all of them 120mm in size. Speaking of the fans, the case can accommodate up to 3 120 or 140mm fans at the front, up to 3 120 or 140mm fans at the top, and a single 120mm fan at the bottom of the case. The dust filtration is extensive on the SYNCRO. You have a front dust filter that is easy to remove because it slides from the left side of the case. The second main dust filter is on the bottom and it covers the entire length of the case. This one can be easily removed by sliding it out the front. And finally, the top part of the case is covered by a magnetic dust filter, which is again very easy to remove. The SYNCRO Q7 sits on 2 wide metal-made feet. These have a good structural integrity and their underside is covered by rubber pads, which will not only prevent any scratches on the surface the case sits on, but it will increase the grip of the case and prevent any slipping. The I/O panel in the case of the SYNCRO Q7 is placed at the top, on the right side of the case, to be exact. And with this model you get 1 USB Type-C port, 2 USB 2.0 ports, a microphone jack, an audio jack, and 2 buttons, which are the power and reset buttons. Unfortunately, no USB 3.0 or USB 3.1 ports to be seen. Looking at this case from afar, you'd think that these side panels are simple, but you'd be wrong, because they aren't. We start with the main side panel, which is made from typical tempered glass, as usual these days. Now, before you attempt to open this side panel, you must remember one thing. From the factory, this panel is locked in place, and if you pull on it without unlocking, you will break the glass and your heart. And what look would a company as sophisticated as Seasonic use? Magnetic? Perhaps something that clicks into place? How about 2 screws and a metal plate on the bottom? because that's what it used. Now obviously this is not something that you will have to do every single day. You remove this plate once and forget about it, but it's still funny to say the least how they made sure that the side panel does not open by accident while shipping the case around. This side panel, not only can it be removed from the case, but it has hinges at the back, so it opens as a door. This is a great feature that should be on a lot of modern cases, especially those that are high priced. Why? Because it's easy to damage these panels by dropping them, but with hinges the panel can sit securely attached to the case while you do your work inside the system. The other side panel is simple and made from metal. However, even this simple panel has a cutout at the front, but more on that later on into the review. This panel just slides out of the case and it is secured in place by two captive stump screws. Going back to the front of the case, the SYNCRO Q7 has a permanent inverted layout. This means that your system will be upside down and no, you cannot do anything about it. You will just have to deal with it. The power supply is installed at the bottom of the case, on quite thick rubber pads mind you. The installation is very simple, as you attach the power supply to a plate that is attached to the casing of the SYNCRO Q7. There is also a large power supply cover that spans almost the entire length of the case. Thankfully, this cover has plenty of perforations in the surface to allow for easy passage of the airflow and perhaps install 2 more fans or SSDs if you desire. On the opposite side is where the magic happens with the SYNCRO Q7, as you have a lot of features that are not usually found on other cases. And the important one is this cover that is in place at the front of the case. This is where you install the Seasonic Connect module. What this module does is basically act as a bridge or a secondary modular system for the power supply and its cables. So instead of having all the cables connect directly to the power supply and you must route them around the case, this power supply has only one massive cable that connects to the bottom side of the Seasonic Connect module. And that's it. Afterwards, you connect whatever cables you need for your system with this module and you're done. This, I'd say, reduces the cable clutter in the system by about 70 to 80%. However, it only works with Seasonic power supplies, and not only that, but it only works with these Seasonic Connect power supplies. So in this regard, it is quite limited. In terms of the storage, the SYNCRO Q7 offers 3 regular SSD trays installed on the upper side of the motherboard tray and 2 hard drive cages installed at the bottom front case. Fortunately, these can be removed entirely to make more space for a thick radiator up front, and you can use them to store, no pun intended, some SSDs. With a full system installed in the SYNCRO Q7, honestly speaking, everything looks great. The cable management is a breeze because you don't really have any cables to work with anyway, especially if you use an M.2 SSD for your storage and nothing else. Everything that you require cable-wise is attached to the Seasonic Connect module at the back, which has ports on all sides and on the underside, which matches the cutouts of the case as well. However, this is all nice and dandy, but you and everyone else will ask one simple question. Is the SYNCRO Q7 a performer in the case of temperatures? Yes, it is. In terms of CPU temperature, the SYNCRO Q7 is right on the second place, ahead of the Be Quiet Silent Base 802 using the mesh panels and behind the almighty Fractal Design Torrent RGB. This was to be expected, as no fans will ever be ahead in terms of raw performance when we talk about 3 120mm fans against 2 180mm fans. In the case of the graphics cards, it's business as usual, the Seasonic SYNCRO Q7 being the second best in our graph, right behind the Torrent RGB from Fractal Design. However, just like I've said in the Fractal Design Torrent review, all this performance has a price. A big one, as the Seasonic SYNCRO Q7 has a maximum noise output of 42 decibels with the measuring device placed at a standard distance of 10 cm from the system and the case. This places the Seasonic SYNCRO Q7 among the loudest cases in my testing, but also among those that are the best in terms of airflow, static pressure and overall cooling performance. The Seasonic SYNCRO Q7 is an interesting case from many points of view. It looks great, and it is an example of how someone can use metal and not plastic on a high-end case. The inverted layout will not be liked by everyone, mainly because it means that the glass side panel of the case will be on the opposite side of what everyone wants. There is also the Seasonic Connect module. It works and it's a neat thing to use, however it's still in its infancy and it requires a lot of accommodations to be working, such as a specialized power supply, proprietary connectors, and this entire case, which at this time of this review is the only case that will accept it without modifications. The main disadvantage of the SYNCRO Q7 is the price. Yes, you do get a great case for what you pay and a power supply that will last you years, but still $400 is a lot. I think the best way to address the pricing issue is not to lower it, because let's be honest, lowering the prices is not a feasible business practice, but to make the case available across the world as a single unit. So we get the choice of either getting just the case and we use our own power supplies, but we pay less overall, or we get the entire bundle and we know why we are paying $400. As a case, the SYNCRO Q7 is fantastic, and while it's not the best in terms of airflow, because honestly the fractal design torrent is one of the best around, the SYNCRO Q7 is close enough to show everyone that Seasonic can do cases and do them well. The build quality is great, there is nothing left to chance and no useless gimmicks to be found. The included fans are one of the best I've seen in many ways, from the build quality, the noise signature and the airflow they deliver. Is the SYNCRO Q7 the case for you though? It depends. If you want one of the best but you want something that will outlive you and everyone you know, then the SYNCRO Q7 is the case for you. If you want RGB from the factory, then you might as well look elsewhere. Also, be prepared to deal with the pricing and also with the inverted layout and the transparent side panel installed on the other side of the case. If you like this review, then you might consider subscribing for more, and also if you want to support me in a direct way, then in the description below you will find the links for both the Patreon and the 2 star pages of this channel.